Should I learn British or American pronunciation? Many learners worry that they, or their children, should focus on learning a certain type of English pronunciation, either British or American. But I want to reassure you that it's not necessary to learn and change your accent so you sound British or American or Australian or any other native English speaker. So what's the question you should be asking about your pronunciation? Now, English is a truly global language, and in fact there are more non-native speakers than native speakers now. American accents and British accents are in the minority. So the question you should be asking is, am I understandable? So let's start with, how is pronunciation learnt? It's strange and maybe disappointing fact that your accent kind of freezes when you turn into a teenager. So children who are learning a foreign language are capable of picking up an accent in a way that adults can't. And nobody's really sure why this is. For example, a child who moves to America as a non-English speaker, before the age of 12 or 13, will soon sound like an American child. But their older brother or sister, who's 14 or 15, will not be able to change their accent as smoothly. Adults can learn a different accent, just like actors who do that, but it might be temporary or only in certain situations. If you want to sound like an American or a British person, you're going to have to work hard on it. But the good news is that with global English, there's now a recognition that all accents are acceptable. The most important thing is to be understandable. And don't forget, your accent is a part of you. It's a part of your identity. Increasingly, English teachers are moving away from the native model. That means they don't think the only correct way to speak is with a native accent. In Britain, each city has its own accent, so it's kind of strange for us to force learners to speak with just one type of accent. In Britain, our identity is related to our accents. You can recognise someone from Liverpool or London or the north of Scotland or South Wales. Even BBC News presenters who used to have very formal English accents and had to be trained to speak that way now have a range of accents from all over the UK and abroad. So let's talk about pronunciation points that are important to be understood all over the world and ones that don't really matter. Firstly, 4 pronunciation points that don't really matter. Getting these things wrong does not hinder communication. And you might be surprised to find some of these things that you've learnt and practiced in English lessons are not that important. For example, TH sounds. So the TH sounds, th and the, don't actually occur in that many words. It feels like a lot because they're in very common words like this, that, think, thing, other, mother, father. But even native speakers don't always sound these words correctly. It's okay to use a d, a t, or a f instead of f and th. Although s and z sounds aren't really understandable. For example, you can say, I think I'm right, I think I'm right, but not I think I'm right. Listen very carefully. I think I'm right, I think I'm right, I think I'm right is not so understandable. The second pronunciation feature that's not so important, and that's weak sounds and the schwa sound. Maybe you learnt this in English lessons about sounds. They're not that important for global intelligibility. In English lessons, you probably practiced saying, want a cup of tea? And words and phrases like this. But actually, to be understood around the world, it is better to say, do you want a cup of tea? and to pronounce each word separately, individually, fluently, but you don't need to worry about reducing sounds, weak sounds, and schwa sounds. The third pronunciation point that's not so important is vowel sounds. So vowel sounds are a big part of what makes Americans, Australians, British, other native speakers sound different from one another. Vowel sound is not so important for global understanding, but vowel length is. Okay, and the fourth non-important pronunciation feature is pitch and pitch movement. This is how your voice sounds higher or lower as you talk. For example, in English lesson, you've probably learnt that yes/no questions go up at the end and WH questions go down at the end. So, would you like a cup of tea? Where do you live? It's confusing and it doesn't actually matter to understanding at all. So don't worry about it. Okay, 4 things that are important in pronunciation that everyone should try to get right for good understanding and intelligibility. The first one, number 1, consonant sounds are important. So apart from TH and those 2 TH sounds, you should try to get your consonants right. For example, you need to get R and L correct. This can cause misunderstandings otherwise. For example, are you asking, is the bag right or is the bag light? Another example, P and B. Are you looking for a pin or are you looking for a bin? Which one? And sh and ch. Do you want to buy chairs or do you want to buy shares? Confusing consonants can be a cause of misunderstandings. Pronunciation feature number 2 to get correct is consonant clusters. This means when you have a consonant in a group, like STR in street, it's okay to add sounds. For example, sutorito, as a Japanese person would say, sutorito. But it's not okay to delete the sounds. You can't say street or steet, for example. You need to try to get all the 3 sounds in there for street. Feature number 3, that is important, vowel length. In English lessons, you've probably practiced the difference between it and eat, and shit and sheet, and bitch and beach. Very important to get those right. And if you're not doing it, start now. And also, vowel length that changes before a voiced or unvoiced consonant is important. For example, the A in bag is longer than the A in back. And feature number 4 to get right, sentence stress. The one thing you need to know about sentence stress is that the meaning can change depending on which word of a sentence you stress. For example, I didn't tell him is different to I didn't tell him, and it's different to I didn't tell him. So the meaning changes with each word you stress, so be aware of that. So to give you some inspiration is 3 women who are changing the world with non-native accents. And I'm sure you know their names: Malala Yousafzai, Greta Thunberg, Nadia Murad. They're all changing the world using English, and they don't have native accents, but their message is the most important thing. That's what the world is listening to, not their accents. I want to know, do you have a role model for speaking English? Do let me know in the comments below. And if you've got any other thoughts about learning English pronunciation, let me know. Thanks for watching. Bye.